how the heck do we fit all of our crap in a Jeep Wrangler to take 2 big dogs out overlanding for 10 days? Well, today I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a complete pack out video because we're getting ready to take off for an overlanding journey, and I'll show you where everything goes and how we fit it in here. Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to get the roam box actually installed up on the roof, and then we'll get it filled with everything that we normally put in there. Alright, so we got 2 sleeping pads, 2 sleeping bags, 2 small quilts for the dogs, and 2 pillows. So that's pretty much all the bedding, with the exception of a couple of big quilts that we use, but we stored them somewhere else. Where I have these anchor points right now is where I would have them if I'm putting the tent on this side, and we knew exactly where we were going, and we knew we weren't going to need the max tracks. Because this trip's going to be somewhat unpredictable and we don't know if we're going to need the max tracks, I'll mount the max tracks here, but all I have to do is pull these off and slide them over one spot. Because we are taking the max tracks today, I don't keep this on the rack at all times. It's just something that sticks up kind of high. You know, if you're not using it, can't pull the Jeep into the garage if this is mounted up there. So these little devices are kind of neat. Normally what you'd have to do when you put an anchor into the T-track is you come back to the widest point, drop it in, and you can slide it back and forth wherever you want it. But these, because of the way they're built, you just drop them in wherever you want. And essentially what happens is when you put the bolt in to tighten it up, they literally open up like a butterfly and lock into place. All right, and then these are just a 5mm Allen head with stainless washer. Something else that we carry too is extra fuel. I won't actually fill these right away because we're going to be traveling on the freeway for some time to get to our destination or where the trails start. And of course we'll lock them on because I don't want them to walk off. For the other side of the Jeep, we're going to be carrying water. And these I will fill up right away. I don't know if you've bought gallons of bottled water before, but it can be kind of expensive. So there's a couple of tools that we use literally every time we camp, and they're really important to us. And that's the shovel and the axe. So some time ago, I purchased these clips that allow you to store this up here. Now, most of them work perfect. But this one back here, it catches a lot of dirt when we're snow wheeling and stuff like that. And over the years, it's gotten a little bit sticky. And I try to work it loose and flush it out, but I think this is something we're gonna have to look into. So shovel and axe. Quick note, guys, something I like to do while I'm packing the Jeep out is I'll go ahead and plug the fridge in to the AC outlet in the garage, so it can cool down while I'm doing the pack out. That way when we put the food in, it's not going into a warm or hot fridge that might have been sitting out in the sun. The other thing is, I'll go ahead and start charging our Blue Eddy from the house as well, so that we can start off with a full power supply. Just a note, something to think about while you're going through the process. That way you don't start with a dead battery. I mean, it's going to charge while we're driving anyway off of the alternator. But if you don't know how far you're going, you might as well get it charged up and ready to go.
Hey, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate the support.
All right, so some of you, if you watch the interior video for the Jeep, know that we actually have the cargo dog where we have a platform for the dogs to hang out. We kind of cover the whole thing up with some blankets, but we store all the recovery gear on this side, which is the driver's side. So let's talk about the recovery gear that I actually take with me. And it's usually always the same because I pack it out pretty much. In fact, I normally don't take it out. I just took it out to show you guys. So first things first is, of course, we've got the controller for the winch and a blanket for the winch line. A couple of tire things that we have. We've got a plug kit and I've got a sidewall repair kit in case we tear a sidewall. I've knock on wood, I've never had this happen. I'm hoping I never do, but yeah, I pack those things for tire repairs in case we need them. I've got a couple of snatch blocks. Got one of the old school ones here from Warren, and then I've got one from Factor 55 as well. I actually prefer using this one. This thing's heavy, but I pack it anyway just in case we get into a situation where we need multiples. 7/8 kinetic rope. And then we've got an assortment of the soft shackles. Now, I bought the Rhino one a long time ago. I don't know that I could really recommend this one. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't actually have a weight rating on this. So I'm probably gonna be picking up either a Yankum rope or something from Factor 55 instead. But I use this for now, and it hasn't failed me, knock on wood, but this is something I think I want to improve on, as well as the soft shackles, and I've already started doing that. So I've ordered both the Yankum ropes and a Factor 55 soft shackle. You can see one is actually a shield on it, the other one doesn't. And then some other things that I keep in there as well is I keep an actual toe strap, which is just a standard toe strap, and then a tree saver as well. And I just kind of wrap them up with Velcro so they stay together and they don't unravel inside the area. But that's pretty much most of the recovery gear right there, other than the jack. And there you go. That's everything packed in and ready to go for all the recovery gear. I almost forgot. There's one other thing that I throw in here, only because it doesn't fit my tool bag, is I buy some extra long zip ties, pretty sturdy zip ties. And I actually throw those in here as well. Now, because we're camping with the dogs, the other side of the cargo dog here is where we keep a lot of the dog things. We keep a lot of stuff in here. It's not just dog stuff, but dog bowls that we keep in here for water and food. We keep some wipes for the dogs so we can wipe them down in case they get too nasty and too dirty. Grill wipes in case we have the grill so we can actually wipe that down. And a bag, we'll fill this with the dog food that we're going to take for the ride. A little frisbee, ball, stuff to play with, but this is where we keep all the dog stuff. Something else that I find really important to take when we know we're going to be out in the middle of nowhere in some cases is a set of tools. And so, you know, it's an assortment that I've found useful. It's the tools that I seem to need the most. You know, a set of screwdrivers that I can actually break down instead of carrying a whole bunch of screwdrivers. This is basically a handle and a bunch of bits, a pair of really industrial scissors in case I have to cut something. I've got a whole assortment of different types of pliers in this one. You know, needle nose, regular pliers, vice grips, channel locks. Over here, I've got all of my Allen wrenches, a crescent wrench, a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, an extension, and some very commonly needed things like 18 millimeter, 22 millimeter, stuff like that that come in handy for the Jeep. And then over here, I do have one long screwdriver. I've got the old Jeep tool that I keep in here. I've got some small zip ties, little tiny ones that actually clip into holes that need to hold wiring and things like that, and then some little Velcro straps. Something else that I take with me is a flex handle in case I need to bust loose a really stubborn bolt with the sockets themselves, 1/2-inch drive flex handle, and of course a saw in case I have to, you know, cut a tree out of the way or something like that. A lot of times in the winter or spring, we'll actually pack a chainsaw instead, but it's mid-June. Most of the trails are cleared out by now, and so this may just come in handy if I need it, you know, for whatever reason. Now, this is something we don't take every time. A lot of times when we're overlanding, we rarely camp more than one night in the same location, but we know this time we're going to be sitting in at least one spot for 3 days, you know, maybe 3 nights. So solar panels for the actual Blue Eddy that we have, Those we're gonna bring with us this time. So you're going, Jeff, where the hell are you gonna put that big thing, right? Let me show you. This is an interesting spot. You can slide this right back in between the window and my XG cargo devices, or my XG cargo bags. And that, believe it or not, will sit right up in there. And what I'll do is I strap a bungee around that and hook it to a location in the back so it can't slide forward if we slam on the brakes or we're going downhill. All right, something else that's become kind of essential for this is for the wife. She doesn't always like dropping a deuce in a hole. So get your wife one of these toilets and privacy tents. She'll love you forever. I'll look this up and try and put a link down below so you guys can see what this is exactly, but I'll show you where I put this as well. Okay, so right over on the other side, between the window and the roll bar. Just like that. And same thing, I'll actually strap this to the back of the rack so it cannot slide forward or slide out when we're driving. All right, something else you gotta pack, and if you don't, I'm gonna be really disappointed, is some kind of a trash bag, right? Trasharoo, this is the all top one that I bought some time ago, and it's been working for us for a long time. It's getting faded and old, but you gotta pack this up as well. All right, and where does the trash bag go? Well, when it's not hanging on the spare tire, remember where I put the solar panel? Well, there's still a gap in between the solar panel and the window right here, and I just slide it right in there. And what that does is it kind of keeps everything nice and solid in here too. All right, next really important item here. It's like, might look a little overkill, but this is in fact our first aid kit. It's pretty big. We got tourniquets, I mean, you name it, we've got pretty much everything in here. It's getting pretty dusty and old too, but this literally sits right in here up against the back of the drawers. And what we do is we just literally Velcro this guy just like that. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that goes up on this shelf. This thing has become really critical to us, actually. We have the drawer system down below. We've got the fridge that slides underneath on this side, but we still need room for a lot of things. So first thing that goes in here is going to be the power supply. Okay, so this is the AC 180. We got this last year, I think it was, or something like that. And man, it has worked out really good for us. This thing will keep us going every single night, running the fridge, everything we need to charge, batteries, whatever it is, you name it. And all we do is make sure that it's plugged in when we're driving to recharge, and then we unplug it at night and it runs everything. It keeps the fridge cold in hot temperatures, desert, you name it. Now, going multiple nights, a little questionable, right? That's why if we go 2 or 3 nights, I pack 2 or 3 nights without driving somewhere, I pack the solar panels. But let me show you how I strap this in. I'm still buckling this strap, as you can see, but we have the 4 of the kayak mounts. I think they're literally called kayak mount, that are actually anchored in here. You can see I can move this a little bit. We'll snug that down, and then we'll pull the same thing on this side. Those go over the top to another kayak mount on the other side, right here in between the roll bar and the shelf, and back over the top of the power supply through here and back to the buckle. This is the best solution I've found so far, and it works really good for us. This thing does not move at all, even in the roughest terrain. Once this sucker's strapped down, the rubber feet on it keep it really gripped onto the surface here, and these snug it down really tight so that once both are snugged down, this thing cannot move at all. And that is a pretty good location for powering the fridge and other things, because we set stuff on the shelf right here that needs to charge up, and you can see we have all our USB ports right here, we have our plugs here, the 12-volt outlet, everything is right here for us, and we can charge whatever we need. Okay, so the next thing going in on the shelf is going to be a full tank of water that we use for the faucet off the tailgate. And this comes in handy for a variety of reasons. Not only does it allow us to carry even more water, right, but it means I don't have to connect a spigot to one of the Rotopacks right away, and we can save that for another time. So let me show you how I strap that sucker in. All right, so nothing special here. I have one eye hook here, and by the way, I just ordered more of these so that I can use this for the water as well, because it's just a nice cleaner. This doesn't bunch up, and I think it's a better solution. This strap just goes over the top, comes down to the front of the rack system here, which is the American Adventure Labs rack, goes back over the top, and you can see this actually is taller than the roll bar up here, so it can't really come forward at all. This is really cool, because all I got to do now is loosen up the valve up here to let air in. I take my handy little hose here that we've routed, plug that in like so. Okay, so we connect at the top, runs along the roll bar all the way down along through the Velcro of the XG cargo bag, right down the back side right here, as you can see up in the corner, comes down through the 2 Velcro spots here, right along to the tailgate, across the tailgate, right to the faucet. Voila, we have water. So that works out really good for us right at camp, because when we're cooking right here on the camp table, on the tailgater, we've got water right here for our cooking purposes, and that works out really good. Now the faucet itself, I've got a little plate here so the magnet can actually attach right here to the door. And then when we want to remove this and store it in the drawer, it's just a quick disconnect to pop off, and we can take our faucet and store that in one of the drawers. All right, so the next thing to go in on the inside is where we store our table. If you guys haven't checked it out, there's some other videos you might be able to look at of our campsite. You can see what table it is, but it's from Hay Trip. It's actually a pretty cool little aluminum folding table. It's very lightweight, folds out nice for supporting us at the campsite and stuff like that. And because it folds up this small, it allows us to store it in a pretty convenient location. So on the back of the drawer set, similar place to where I Velcro my first aid pack, is there's a shelf on top of the drawer. And I just set the table up there, and then I use 2 straps of Velcro to hold it up there right onto the shelf. And it works out pretty good. And it doesn't take up any space on the shelf, which is really cool. It doesn't interfere with the fridge. Pretty awesome. All right, something we can't forget also is our propane, and for all our cooking needs. 5 pound propane tank. Don't remember how many gallons it is, but 5 pound. And we use the Rock Slide Engineering mount, actually wraps all the way around the tire, and then just uses a nice little ratchet strap right here. And so I take up the slack with a piece of Velcro right here. Get yourself some Velcro, guys. We use tons of it. And that allows us to literally connect right here on this side, so that the hose can come right down from here, right down to our stove that sits right on top of our cooking area here. So that works pretty good. Now, next thing to go in right now, before I get too far carried away, is gonna be the clothes bag. Next to our water tank, we have a big area right here, and that is where my wife and I pack everything we have needed for clothes. Again, we're camping, so we don't need a lot. We take a couple of nice things, but mostly everything else sits right in there, right against this pack. Now, I've talked a little bit about these XG cargo bags in the past, but this is where we keep things like the hose for the cooking, straps for the awning, just different things like that that are just kind of necessities. And then we have another one on this side that I keep some tools and things like that in. You'll notice we keep locks and carabiners and things as well on here, just so that we can, you know, lock up our roam box or whatever we need. We've got carabiners in case we need to tie something on. These things are really, really useful. So a couple more things that need to go in. Need the stove so we can cook. That sits right here, just like that. I also have my pad mounted for my chargers, and I can show you how that works here real quick. Got the charger for the drone battery. So you got charger for the drone batteries, charger for the GoPro batteries, and then right here is a slot for the charger for my camera battery. Okay, so a few details. We throw a couple of our rumple quilts up here on top of the clothes bag. That's a good spot to store those, and we only use those in case we really get cold, and I don't know if that's going to happen considering it's June. Then little things like sweatshirts pop in here wherever they need to go. And then we have a couple of quilts that we use. These things are pretty cool. They just unzip and turn into quilts. They look like pillows, but we stuff those in a couple of spots for the dogs to lay on. So there you have it, guys. So Noel's popping a couple things in here, like some tomatoes and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty well packed. I do throw a couple of little things in, like in case I get cold, I throw a pair of pants under the driver's seat right here. You can see I just kind of stuff them in there in case I get cold. Got my gloves. I throw my floppy hat for sunshade right in the door panel here. I don't really use the stock jack because frankly it doesn't work very good, but I've been able to find a bottle jack that's very tall that can sit right down in the same area, which is kind of handy. So I keep that in there. That's my jack. And if you guys want, put a comment down below and I can actually I can put a link to that, but it's from SafeJack. SafeJack is, and they make little fittings that go over the axle and stuff too. I mentioned the dog bag that we fill with dog food. Okay, confession. As I was putting this video together, I realized there was something I forgot, and it was our chairs. I don't know how I missed that, but let me show you guys basically what we do with our chairs. We've got two chairs that are pretty similar. They come in a pretty small bag. They're both from the same company, but they're different bags. Oh, Mission Mountain. Mission Mountain is the name of them. Here, let me show you this. Hopefully you can see that, Mission Mountain. So the way we put these, store these actually inside, and you can see everything's out of here because I'm doing this after the fact now. We got back and I cleaned the whole thing up. But we literally take on the back side of the shelf, normally our power supply is mounted right up here and this is the fridge, and we just have a couple of carabiners and we hook them just like that. And these two chairs would sit basically just like that, and they just hang there. And that's how we put our chairs in here. Kind of lace the dog leashes up right here on the door so that way they don't get stuck in the door when it gets closed. Throw a jug of water right here so it's easy access. And then we throw some toys back here for the dogs to occupy themselves with a little bit. And I'll stuff some shoes down on this side. I've got shoes and flip-flops down over on the other side under the towels and blankets. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's pretty much everything.
Let me know if there's any details I might have missed that you guys would like to see. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe.